Hi Libra, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your card reading for June. So couple things going on in June, and by a couple I mean we have 6 planets retrograding, and in the course of June and into July we will have 3 eclipses. Mercury is going retrograde, adding to the Venus retrograde, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. So we are in an element here, no matter what, of reviewing and revising. We're learning and we're gaining new perspectives. Now, these eclipses are hitting your 3rd and 9th house, which could bring issues regarding your neighborhood, your communities, learning, community classes, just kind of your neighborhood and what's going on there. It could also rule siblings, cousins. Although it's not your 4th and 10th house, those areas are actually getting worked over as well. So I think it just has a lot to do with your past and how you how your perspective on your past is changing. That's kind of true for all of us in different ways. But the 9th house, where Venus is going retrograde, the North Node has now entered. That's your belief systems. It could be something as simple as religion, as long distance travel, doors opening in those arenas, even going back to school, continuing your education. But it's tying closely into the 4th and 10th house as well, affecting your career and your family life. It's involving your past life karma and your destiny, purpose, and legacy in this lifetime. So these are kind of wide-ranged transits, can kind of be pretty general, and you'll know what's happening. Believe me, whatever's going on, it is not a surprise. That's what I'm telling everyone right now. If relationships are falling apart, if you're losing a job, it's probably nothing surprising. These energies have been being worked for months. And this is sort of, I don't want to say a culmination, because a culmination to this doesn't really happen until the fall. But we're in a new phase. And this is a tricky area for you, and especially when it comes to the eclipses, because even if you are not being so drastically affected, these aren't hitting real angular houses. The 4th and 10th house is, but the 3rd and 9th house eclipses, the North Node, the Venus retrograde, these aren't really effective houses for you personally. However, the people in your life may be struggling and going through major changes. And I think that might be the case because this month you are coming out as the King of Cups. The King of Cups is in full authority of his emotions. There's wisdom in the King of Cups. There's a feeling that you're sort of watching people around you go through things that you may have already experienced, and you may be able to bring in your wisdom and your knowledge and sort of see them through, hold space, because your environment is that of the magician, telling me that you have your sights set on something. You're in the process of manifesting a new beginning, future plans of some sort. This could be in relationships, it could be in your career. But the magician, Virgo energy, is the need to make plans, to lay down foundations. Now, when I say that, please know, and the King of Cups is well aware, that when you lay down a foundation, it may not be pretty. We're just simply laying the groundwork. The details will come in later. Right now, it's kind of establishing. It's clearing out what needs to go so we could bring in the new pieces that we need in order to take the next steps. And this is your focus in the month of June. You have a fire element. Now, when I see fire and the Magician, it tells me that something is catapulting you into a part of your life where you need to take charge. And the King of Cups knows that he has no control over other people. He knows when to accept the situation for what it is and to focus on himself and his needs and the people that he needs to provide for. And he doesn't get so swayed in other people's emotions, in other people's instability. He owns his own stability regardless of where anybody else chooses to follow their path. So the King of Cups, although ultimately, you know, the father figure, the provider, the strength, the courage, the emotional intelligence that goes into the King of Cups, he knows that he has to protect himself first. He has to honor himself first. Because in order to provide for all of the people that depend on him, he has to do what he feels is best. These are emotional decisions that we're making. And they're coming from a really mature place, which makes me feel really good about your energy in June. Now, this is not to say that there is not turbulence. It's just to say that whatever comes your way, you are capable of sorting through it emotionally, taking what you need and leaving the rest. The beginning of your 9-card block, the World card. We're completing cycles. Now, the Capricorn Cancer conjunction in your 4th and 10th house, you may have been extremely affected by that conjunction. Your home life may have changed drastically between January and March, as well as your career. If you have suddenly made the change from working out of the home to working in the home, or vice versa, if you've had a spouse that lost a job, putting the responsibility of you to go out and seek employment. You know, these are changes that you may be going through at this time. And so there's a way of life that is ending, but with the World card, there's always a beginning. There's always a next phase, right? In the universe, nothing really ends. Something has to begin again. Now, this World card comes out next to the Ace of Swords. And this is a truth that comes to light. Now, right off the bat, we have a eclipse in Sag on July 5th, early on in the month. And this eclipse is so strong because it delivers kind of a spiritual awakening to all of us. This is a new area of life, a new vision. Somebody may come to you with an idea, with a communication, or you may need to deliver a truth to someone else. And the truth may be involving the breaking down of walls. You know, if you've been in an area in your life where you've had to feel like you've had to wear a mask, you couldn't be yourself, other people were relying on you, you may be going through a phase where that's coming to an end. You know, the King of Cups does not hide who he is. He embraces it. And he knows how to embrace his strengths and how to embrace others' strengths as well. So I'm seeing communication that needs to happen in order to break down walls. in order to create the new vision, the new beginning. If this is a relationship that you have, be it a friendship, co-workers, siblings, something comes to the surface, something is talked about that could really change the way that you see things. Now, as I'm telling everybody, when we go into June, you may be really set on a certain ideal or a belief, and I don't want to make this political, but it always serves as a really good example. So I'm not saying this is going to happen to you exactly, but this is just an example of how it may play out. You may be one of those people that believes, that the government is making up this COVID conspiracy theory kind of thing, because there's a lot of conspiracy theory energy at play. And you may be sure that you know the truth. And then this eclipse comes and news comes. Now, this could be a mundane energy, meaning that it affects us globally and therefore affects you personally. But something happens to come in and really make you look at that belief in another way. And maybe look at an area where you've been defending something in your life. And you have to take another look at it from an open-minded place, because your perspectives may shift, and what you may have been protecting or defending, that might be the cycle that comes to an end, and that of course can be unsettling. Now, because we have the fire element as well as the Ace of Swords, this could be heated communications with others. There could be an element of anger coming to the surface. Now, we also have Mars and Pisces in the 6th house, so you want to look out for the energy of co-workers, or, if you have anybody in your life that fits, that kind of fits the idea of someone who continually takes advantage of you. Or where you kind of have to carry the load for others. And June comes along and it says there's a need to communicate, because assumptions might be at play. Now, Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde. It enters its shadow period, which is where communication comes in to kind of really change, again, changing that perspective, the way that you look at things, the way that you go about things, that might change, and it might bring an end to certain parts of your life and a new beginning. Directly under the world is the 6 of Cups. And I love this 6 of Cups because it's sort of a return to self. And I love this energy because it seems like in the first 3 cards, you're breaking down walls within yourself. You're learning to communicate better with the people in your life. And the 6 of Cups talks to me about integrating some of that nostalgia, some of that childhood innocence back to you. There's something so romantic about that 6 of Cups. If you allow yourself to dip back into that energy where you're sort of not so attached to outcomes, that you could just really be in a moment and appreciate the things that you have. I have to say, with a 3rd house, 9th house transit like this and the 6 of Cups coming up, there just is a feeling of siblings, of, maybe cousins, about getting back together with family. And the 6 of Cups comes back again with the center of the reading. King of Cups is repeated. there might be a revisiting of your past, of your childhood. You could be looking at old wounds from your father, or if you are a masculine energy, it could represent your energy as a parent. And you may be questioning what the return has been. 10th house transits, you know, the sun being in Cancer in your 10th house, Mercury moving into that 10th house, and we're building up to an eclipse. There seems to be this energy of, what now? What am I doing with my life? Where is it getting me? What do I want to take on in this new cycle? And what have I left behind? Where has the old stuff gotten to me? Where has it gotten me this far in my life? The 7 of Pentacles next to the King of Cups, we're reflecting upon our past. We may be revisiting or spending a lot of time in this emotional space of, did I make the right decisions? Did I do the best things? Have my commitments been honorable? And if not, how do I change them to make them better? And that's a great energy, because I don't see you really tied down to, and I don't see you being very rigid and stubborn, Libra. I feel the cardinal energy coming from you, the willingness to start new cycles and to open up and to be a little bit more willing to communicate on an emotional level. You might be in this energy for a while in June, the energy of reflecting upon the past. And pay attention to where the universe is setting you. And by that I mean, you may find yourself in situations or environments where people are talking a lot about the past. It may not even be your past in particular, but it may trigger memories that cause you to kind of look at the way things are and how it got to be that way. If there's an area of deciding where you put the work and the energy into and what you get out of it. Now, this is always an energy when Saturn is retrograde. Saturn is retrograding. He is in Aquarius right now, but by the end of June, he will be dipping back into that 4th house, your foundations. And I think that this is the beginning, and I mean very beginning, of a new foundation for you. You may be considering moving. You may be considering moving back home, going back to a place that you came from. You might be dealing with parental issues. Maybe you're being, I don't want to say being forced to, but having to deal with the health and the aging of your parents. And there may be times when you look back and feel sorry for having neglected them. Even if you have moved far away from your family and your home, and maybe this COVID thing and the inability to travel back and forth so freely is making you reconsider your living situation, making you need to move a little bit closer to home now. Or just making yourself available more to your children, to your parents. It's also an energy of really reflecting if you're surrounded by people that don't honor your core values, if you're surviving or depending on relationships that are somewhat shallow, you know, even if you're in a relationship with a partner and you start to realize Uranus in the 8th, always a player in your chart throughout the next several years, you may be asking yourself if there's something more out there, that you might be yearning for a deeper level, a deeper commitment, a deeper passion. If this is a reflection of your career, you may be realizing that you've put all of this time and energy into something because you needed to pay the bills, because you just quite simply needed an income and a foundation, but that it didn't serve you on a spiritual level. Maybe the values of the company or the corporation that you work for are starting to reveal a side that you don't particularly connect with, and it's becoming an issue. And I feel that what starts as a whisper in the beginning of June may really start to take on a force of its own, a life of its own, that you simply cannot continue doing the things that you're doing. You know, there are parts of you that have changed at such a deep level. And so now we move into the 3D reality, and it's very hard for you to continue the vibration that you're on in your day-to-day activities, in your routines. You know, if it's a job and you don't like what the company stands for, it may be increasingly harder for you to stay in that environment. And it's what's leading you to change, which will catapult you. It will take you out of a heaviness if you allow it, if you stay open, to the communication, if you stay open to what your heart and your soul tells you to. We're really in this place now where we're being led by the divine, and we're going towards a path of least resistance. The only resistance could be your resistance. Now, the King of Cups is a Scorpio energy. So, although you want to go deep, you want to really explore this emotional territory of your past and where it's getting you in your present, and what you're leaving behind, what your legacy, your destiny in your world, in the world is. You know, it's what do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered by? In the grand scheme of things, when your time comes to an end, and I'm not saying your time is coming to an end, I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying, but when we're in that 10th house energy, there's a lot of reflection about who we are and how we want to be remembered. What's the mark you want to leave on others in this lifetime? Do you want to show them to use their ambition and their drive and their creativity to really go after what serves them? Or are we still on a path of having to be so responsible, having to be, you know, a certain type of person, like you're serving a purpose for other people, but have you honored your purpose? Have you taken control of your life? Have you really explored what you truly want? If you removed the responsibilities, if you removed the financial constraints, you know, and you looked at your life and you said, if money didn't matter, what would I do? Well, now is the time to really put that to use, to really look at life and say, do these relationships even fit me anymore? Does this life serve me anymore? Does this home that I'm living in, does this city or neighborhood serve me any longer? Maybe you've spent 20 years living in a neighborhood and now your children have graduated and you're free to move. And the idea is, where do you move? Where do you make those changes in your life to reflect who you are now and not who you had to be in the past? Now, the Six of Cups is coming out under the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And that's okay, because things are starting below the surface. Foundations are being laid, but you may not see them yet. You may not have all of the information, and so there may feel like there's delays. Understandable, because you are in the element of fire. You're trying to make things happen. You're recognizing this, and you may really feel like, I've got an idea and I've really got to make this move. I really got to make this happen. If you feel like you're not satisfied in your relationships or your jobs, you may feel the need to make a move rather abruptly. Or someone in your life feels like that. And I feel like the King of Cups with the Page of Pentacles in reverse is reminding you it's okay to not completely take action now. That if there are delays, if you're not seeing the future, if you're not getting the offer you're expecting, if you want to really leave one job and go to another, but you're not getting callbacks on any of the resumes that you're submitting, there's a reason. And the reason is the Queen of Cups in reverse. You're coming out as ready to take emotional control, willing to provide and be an emotional rock for yourself and others. But what you're struggling with is your ability to receive. There's something really beautiful about the King of Cups reflecting on the Queen of Cups in reverse. If you are in a relationship with somebody, a partnership of some kind, it is an equal match. If you are having new ideas on how you want to make changes in your life, you are on the right path. But the Magician mode means that you may be manifesting things to you, yet subconsciously blocking them. Something is blocking your flow. You need to lighten the load. You need to understand that if somebody is offering you something, it is important to not turn it down. Take on that Gemini energy and allow yourself to be curious, to explore new areas. Now, I'm not saying you're bored in a relationship, so cheat on your spouse. Not at all. But allow yourself to explore the what ifs. Maybe there needs to be a sense of reinvention within these relationships or within these jobs. The receptivity is so important. It's so important to remove this block. And the Seven of Pentacles is the flow. This is a block of how things are not coming to you. If you feel like everything is lined up in order and yet things still are not happening, it's because of this. And so I suggest asking the universe for help. Not being afraid to talk about the things that you need. Because I think that you and another person are actually quite willing to make the adjustments, but it's going to take an act of communication to get you on the same page. You know, you may not realize that although you're feeling all these changes need to happen, you may not realize that your spouse is also going through changes, or your boss or your coworkers, and they're also going through these major emotional transformations. And really all it takes is to stop assuming what everybody else is thinking and feeling and just ask. Page of Pentacles in reverse. I mean, this is making an offer without being tied to an outcome. There's an exploration about the Page of Pentacles. It's wanting to build something, and it's a brand new beginning. But you have to be open to it. You have to be open to what others are willing to contribute to you. And the Queen of Cups in reverse means that you might have your walls up, and that's what needs to be changed. You have to remove those walls, and you have to know that you deserve what the universe is trying to bring you. You deserve second chances. You deserve reconciling this emotional turmoil. You deserve a spouse that could meet you on the same level. And it's all about the flow. Once you put yourself in a balance of receiving as well as a masculine energy of going out and getting and achieving, you know, there could be a leveling out. There could be resentments from the past. One spouse worked harder than the other. One coworker did more work than the other. You don't realize what this other person is feeling. Nobody's talking about it, but in the month of June, it has no choice but to come out for clearing. The Queen of Cups in reverse can also be somewhat oversensitive. And I just want to point that out there, because if there's fears of communication, if you're afraid to tell somebody how you're feeling or what you're thinking because you're afraid of change, that needs to be, let go of. And these eclipses are going to force that, and they're going to show you all of the ways in your past in which you may have been settling for less than what you deserved. And it's all about the flow at the end. It's about finding your way to get back into the flow. The sixth house, again, Mars in Pisces. You may be struggling to concentrate. You may be struggling to focus on the day-to-day activities. Things might be really chaotic. You think that you're going to work and you're going to put in the full 8 hours and really focus, and at the end of the day you're going to feel like you achieved a lot, and yet the day just simply doesn't play out that way. A phone call comes in, it distracts you, and then a kid calls and they need something, and at the end of the day you feel like you did a lot of activity but that you didn't actually get anything done. That could be an energy at the end of the month. And you have to be in a place of forgiving yourself. Every day you need to tell yourself, I did the best that I could. And don't spend a lot of energy punishing yourself. It's really important to go with the flow of the universe right now, to stay present in the moment, to tackle one thing at a time. It might be better for you to not focus so much on the bigger picture, because that's what you're doing. You're focusing on the bigger picture, but you're struggling to put the pieces together. And the universe says you don't have to. You don't have to put the pieces together this month. Not everything has to fit. Not everything needs to be in place for this to begin. Just start. Just start following the things that you really love, doing the things that you really love to do. And the universe will kind of take you there. It will get you to where you need to be. Your energy starting out this month is the starfish, which is kind of a level of being a little bit superficial. You might start out the month in an energy of people pleasing. Like I said, wearing the mask, trying to appear to be a certain type for a certain person. And the starfish means it needs to be embraced at a higher level. Things cannot stay stagnant. Things will, like I said, jobs or relationships will just simply not serve you anymore. And I think that you want something to happen at a deeper level. And then you move into the dragonfly energy, which is that of enlightenment, of new possibilities. This is back into this air quality, Libra, of being open to new opportunities, being open to the signs and the communication, be open in your dream space. You know, if you're having dreams, they might hold answers to you now. They might be forms of inspiration. You might get a lot of inspiration this month, and it's great to harness that energy. In order to harness that energy, you have to be present in the moment in order to see the signs that the universe is giving you. You have to be open and pay attention to what's happening around you. Keep your eyes and ears open in June. Pay attention to the people that you meet. Pay attention to conversations that you have with strangers, because they might just bring you moments of enlightenment that make you change your perspective and see things differently. Your oracle card for the month of June. You can never see where the Tao is going. You can only be there with it. So like I said, you're not supposed to have all of the answers. You're just supposed to resonate this month. It's about alignment. It's about deciding what you want and then allowing it to come to you. And not everything is going to happen in June. In fact, most things may not take real, cement. You may not cement the foundation of things in June, but what you're doing will lead to those new foundations. There's a process of letting go, of cleaning out the closets, of making space for the new, exploring the opportunities. It's kind of like getting to know yourself all over again. And the Six of Cups will really serve you in a way in which you kind of have faith. Have faith that the universe has not failed you so far. Even when things have been difficult, something has always come through. New things have always come in. And you have to believe in that now. You have to believe that new things are going to come in. New information, new communication, new partners. It could be a month of a lot of emails, of a lot of revisiting the past and reframing the past. Because we're rewriting our stories. If you've struggled with relationships or jobs in the past because they've always seemed to go a certain way, you have to accept that that energy is gone now. And you have to allow the new things to come in without fearing, what happened in the past. Now, I did pull some relationship tarot cards for you because, again, Venus being retrograde, with all these other planets and, the Cancer activity, a lot of relationship stuff may come into play. And the relationship cards that you got is the Lovers, the Six of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. Now, the Lovers always represents a decision. And I think the decision is to stay in the mundane, to stay where it's safe. But it could also exude a level of boredom, of stagnation. And if you are bored in your relationship, I suggest doing the communication thing. I suggest opening your heart and talking about it and expressing your needs, because you are mirroring each other. King of Cups and the Queen of Cups in reverse, you're mirroring. So if you're protecting yourself and you don't want to come out and say, I love you to somebody, well, know that they're doing the same. And if you're in a relationship where it's not fulfilling anymore and you want to leave, again, you may be surprised to find out that your partner feels the same. Now, don't let that scare you, because the World card, yes, there could be endings, but there could also be renewals within these relationships. We're rewriting the stories. We're recreating the new vibration, and this person might actually have the ability to meet you at the level that you need to be met at if you tell them what you need. Queen of Chalices, if you talk about it, if you choose to step out of just letting things be and you speak your truth, you may be met with a really loving element where you could kind of fall in love with somebody all over again for all different reasons this time. Again, if this is empty nest energy, the kids are gone, and then you start to realize, who am I if I'm not a mother or a father? Who am I when I'm independent of myself? And will the marriage even work when we're not, forced to be at the beck and call of young children anymore? When suddenly our life does not revolve around other people, and it's just us, and we get to fall in love with each other again. We get to learn and meet each other all over again. And it's a really beautiful place of possibilities. But you have to be willing to break down the walls and be open in your communication and accepting of what others can offer you at this time. There's definitely an element of acknowledging that you cannot control what other people want and need or how they act, but you can stand in authority for yourself and what your needs are. And you can give other people the opportunity to meet you or to dissolve in order for you to move to a greater path. This is really beautiful energy and transformation, Libras, and I hope that this is a gentle energy that gives you the courage to be who you truly are and to state your emotional needs and be open enough and confident enough for it to come to you. I think June's going to be a really fantastic month, and I want you to stay open to the possibilities and stay in the moment. Yeah, that's it. That's a beautiful message. I hope you guys have a great June, and I'll see you in July. Bye.